Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today. We always have something to say with the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Playalog.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, we've got some major Bo Bichette trade updates. Recently, Ross Atkins has spoke to the media about the status of Bo Bichette, whether or not he's going to trade him this offseason. And apparently, that answer is a resounding no. And as well, we've heard some rumors that the Blue Jays, they're looking at other middle infielder upgrades, including Gleyber Torres and Ha-Seong Kim. We're going to talk about all that and more in here, but before we do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today. So beginning with the whole Bo Bichette thing, I mean, we went back and forth, hearing all sorts of rumors about they're not going to trade Bo Bichette, and then they are going to trade Bo Bichette, and Bo Bichette doesn't want to be with the Toronto Blue Jays, and now he does want to be with the Toronto Blue Jays. Apparently, where we are in the pendulum, we're swinging to the answer of we will not be trading Bo Bichette. In fact, we're going to keep this guy.
Yeah, and I like the, I guess thinking about it like a pendulum and kind of swinging back and forth, because that's where we're at right now. We don't know where we're going to be in a couple months from now or at the trade deadline or whatever, but where we are right now is the Toronto Blue Jays, if they get a call about Bo Bichette and a Bo Bichette trade, it's an easy no. Those are the words from Ross Atkins. If you call us, we ain't going to be listening to this. We're going to be holding on to him. Now, I think that there's a couple different ways to look at this. Like, I was always on the side of, if the offer is there, if you're getting a good amount of return, then you listen and you move on. If it's there, right? I'm assuming that because he's coming out and he's saying this and he's saying, you know what, we're not doing it, it's an easy no for us, I would imagine that the market for a Bo Bichette trade probably isn't where they want it to be. And if it wasn't there, then from my standpoint, I was always thinking, don't force it.
Yeah, because you actually had John Morosi come out on MLB Network. I don't have it right here, but I did look at it through Twitter. And he did say, well, the Blue Jays started trading Bo Bichette, and the simple answer why, well, last year he hit for a 598 OPS. I mean, and that's pretty simple, right? Like, this is the worst year. If you had any speculation or any idea of trading away Bo Bichette because you think, maybe he's not going to be here long term, let's cash in on the 1 year value you had, you're not going to do it with this year. And hell, even if you did have a great year last year from Bo Bichette and we still lost and we're in this position where we got one more run, then maybe you're not even considering trading Bo Bichette, because the only reason why we're considering it is because we want to get rid of him and there's some bad blood maybe between the management, or he had a little bit of a spell where he wasn't feeling like he wanted to play for the Toronto Blue Jays. But that is all settled. That dust is settled. He apparently wants to be with the Jays, and the Jays want to be with him. So looking forward, Nick, to the future of Bo Bichette, what kind of avenues can we see Bo Bichette kind of going down? If the Blue Jays are winning, if the Blue Jays are losing, how are the Blue Jays going to handle that Bo Bichette situation?
Well, I don't think that, this, whole we're not trading him type thing, this doesn't change the questions surrounding his contract or the future, right? Like, probably he's going to start with the team in 2025. That's what we're hearing right now. Probably that's going to happen unless something major changes. I don't think that changes anything, though, for the future of Bo Bichette post-contract, right? That's still very much up in the air, and I really do believe that, contract extension or anything like that, that is really going to be determined by how he comes at the camp, how he conducts himself as a player, the success of this ball team as a whole, and then the success of Bo Bichette in 2025. So all of those things that we have yet to see, and we're going to have to wait on that. All this says to me is we are probably going to have him to begin the year in 2025.
Right. And I guess, the whole trade conversations could inevitably come back if the Blue Jays are in a losing situation and there may be some value, because, the whole contract extension conversations, there's a lot of roadblocks for me when I'm looking at, the Toronto Blue Jays. I look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. right now, and as right now, there is no extension. And if there still is no extension in place for Vladdy into next year, well, I feel like if I'm the Toronto Blue Jays, if I had to, bet on one of these guys I'm keeping, I'm going to bet on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. versus a Bo Bichette. And that for me is the only reason why we're leaning away from Bo Bichette in the possibility of extending him. So if we are doing bad at the trade deadline next year and we're in the same position and there's a bit of value for Bo Bichette, I could see a reality where those rumors spark up again where Bo Bichette could be inevitably traded.
100%, right? This is a fluid situation. This is not the last time that we're going to hear about this. I do think that it's very telling, though, that the Toronto Blue Jays are interested in other middle infield bats, right? And the bats that we're talking about here is Ha-Seong Kim and Gleyber Torres. It was revealed very recently that, according to agent Scott Boras, as expected, the Blue Jays have some interest in those two guys. Now, Ha-Seong Kim and Gleyber Torres, you're probably not signing to a one-year deal. You know, you're probably signing those guys to at minimum 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, depending on which one you go after. And considering, you know, in Ha-Seong Kim's case especially, his primary position is shortstop, that could give a little window into how we're approaching this Bo Bichette situation moving forward. But, you know, you take that and you think about that. Ha-Seong Kim, however, in his own right, pretty solid baseball player.
Yeah, no, he is, and he plays multiple positions too, other than shortstop, which is a bit of flexibility that the Toronto Blue Jays really like. You know, he plays second base, plays third base, so you can move him around at least for this year if you do have Bo Bichette on the team. Now, the one thing to consider that is a very big upside that this Toronto Blue Jays team doesn't have is the stolen base threat. I mean, last year you could see he had 22, which is a lot on the Toronto Blue Jays, but he was also injured last year.
He was, yeah.
And the year prior he had 38, right? When the rule of stolen base came into effect. So there's a lot of upside with a stolen base side for Ha-Seong Kim. However, the bat, and this of course is affected by the injury. He was riddled with it throughout the entire season, and he continued to play through it. But you could see his OPS plus was below the 100 mark, making him a below average bat. But he has shown in the past, the last 2 years, he can be a slightly average bat with the upside of some stolen bases. Now, how much is that going to cost? Apparently, Spot Rack thinks he's going to cost somewhere in that 12 average annual value range. I could see that, maybe 12 to 15, depending on how the bidding does or the market determines it this offseason. And you could see, a 3 to 4 year deal. Is this something that the Blue Jays should be considering as maybe a potential replacement for Bo Bichette if we don't extend them?
Yeah, like I do think that Ha-Seong Kim is a quality player. Now, I'm not gonna get my hopes up about the bat there because, like, I was even, you know, he has had a good year prior, but you look at the career averages from Ha-Seong Kim, it's actually pretty similar to what he did last year, right? That's like legitimately, what is the career numbers there?
It's you got a career average of 242. Last year hit a 233.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I mean, you're looking at somebody that is hopefully going to be an average bat for you. The one thing he does provide that is really solid and much better than Bo Bichette is the defense. And we know how Ross Atkins goes crazy for guys with above average defense. He is a very quality defender right there, and you can move him around. So I think that he's a very valuable guy for sure. Is this somebody that's going to take our team to the next level and, you know, fix all of our offensive woes? Absolutely not. This is another one of those complementary pieces to me. You still need to go out and hopefully get a Pete Alonso or Santander or you know, Teoscar Hernandez or whoever. Like, you still need to go out and do that. Ha-Seong Kim would be a quality piece, though, and maybe somebody that could even lead off for the Toronto Blue Jays moving forward, which is something we don't have.
We don't have, right? That's an option for us, and I do see him again, like you said, complimentary, because I see him as a better, more equipped tool version of an IKF last year. And if we go get that guy, that's a nice complementary piece to what would inevitably be, hopefully, a bigger move for the Toronto Blue Jays to make. You know, I'm talking the power bat, right? That corner outfielder, that first baseman that is out there, Pete Alonso, Anthony Santander, whatever it may be for the Toronto Blue Jays. If you go get Ha-Seong Kim to complement that, that is a great move, but this can't be your only move.
No, of course not, right? Now, Gleyber Torres is an interesting one because that's the other guy that we're looking at right now in that middle infield. And effectively, I feel the same way about Torres as I feel about IKF in the sense that this would be a complimentary move and everything like that. Yeah. But maybe even just a little bit less.
Yeah, right. And I think what you're referring to is the fact that, you know, with IKF you had the versatility in the defense.
Or with Ha-Seong Kim, I mean.
Oh, you mean Ha-Seong Kim, you mean?
Yes, that's who I'm referring to. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you said IKF, my bad. Maybe
might have.
Yeah. So Gleyber Torres, I'm going to compare him right to IKF because, like, honestly, I think he's a little bit less than IKF. Obviously, the bat is a little bit better than IKF, if I'm referring to him directly. And the bat might be a little bit better than a Ha-Seong Kim, right, in years past. However, what's really not attractive, especially to Ross Atkins, is the fact that this guy has an outs above average of -4 and an arm strength of in the 7th percentile and the run speed of 29th percentile. So not a very good all-round baseball player. It's an average, maybe a little bit above average bat, but is that worth it for the Toronto Blue Jays? Again, like, how do you want to structure your team? Like, do you want to fill up? Is this going to be your complementary piece where he can't really play good defense and he's just an average bat, or would you rather have a Ha-Seong Kim?
Yeah, like, I'll be honest, man. I just... maybe I'm a Torres hater. I don't think that he provides that much to your ball team.
Hey guys, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only, must be 19 years older to participate, and guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
I'm not going to be upset if you go out and get him. But
Right.
again, like, you're talking about somebody that needs to be a complementary piece. I think that Ha-Seong Kim does have upside, right, to potentially be a leadoff guy. And I know that Torres was the leadoff guy for the Yankees in the World Series, but that probably never should have happened, never should have been the case. That was just the situation that they found themselves in. I don't want to be in that situation as a Toronto Blue Jays fan. I know that Yankee fans were hating on Gleyber Torres for years, you know.
I get it.
And I understand. So, of course, I'm happy that we're interested in this guy, but if I had to choose between him or Ha-Seong Kim, I would obviously go with Ha-Seong Kim.
Me too, and apparently Spotrac reflects the values in that too, right? Like they value Ha-Seong Kim a little bit higher. They're saying Gleyber Torres only makes $7 million, and I feel like that is kind of low. I feel like Spotrac makes go a little bit lower on these projections. I think he's at least a $10 million player, an 8-figure type of player per year, but not too much more than that. So those right now are the guys that the Toronto Blue Jays are looking at, and just overall, I mean, yes, again, I want to hammer this point home where these are complementary guys to fill up that infield. I mean, you could make an argument as well, and there might be a couple comments out there that feel this way, where, well, why are we going and filling up the middle infield if we already have a Will Wagner and a Spencer Horwitz and maybe a Relvis Martinez could play third and an Ernie Clement, and we have all these guys that could go play middle infield? And you're absolutely correct about that. However, I think the Blue Jays are trying to keep their options open. Ross Atkins and Ben Nicholson-Smith is kind of referred to like there might be a possibility of a trade happening this offseason, and they're referring to a lot of those middle infield depth guys. So if you go out and sign a Ha-Seong Kim or a Gleyber Torres, that could open up the door for you to maybe trade away one of the guys you traded for in your prospect pool this past trade deadline and go fill up that bullpen. There could be some creative ways, as Ross Atkins said, to get this ball team.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be upset if that's the route that they wanted to go in, right? I mean, like, there's multiple different ways to make this ball team better, and I do still think, even though I'm not a biggest Gleyber Torres fan, he would inevitably help and make this ball team better. Ultimately, it's looking like they're going to keep Bo Bichette, and it looks like they are targeting somebody else in that middle infield. This cannot be the only move in terms of bringing in a bat. If you brought in a Kim, though, and then you also brought in a Pete Alonso, now I'm starting to think differently about this lineup, because now you look at that Toronto Blue Jays lineup, you have, potentially a Ha-Seong Kim batting 1, you're keeping Bo Bichette, so maybe you slot him at 2, you got Guerrero 3, and you got Pete Alonso 4, and automatically it's like, okay, maybe we can work with this. There's still a lot of things that need to go right here, but that's looking a lot better from where we finished the year. I'll tell you that much.
And like to temper, and I'm totally with you, and to temper my own expectations, and I know there's going to be comments saying, that will never happen. I think more likely than not that will not happen in the grand scheme of things. I think more likely we get one of these guys and we roll it out again next year, and we're trying to convince ourselves that this is a winning ball team. However, that avenue that we're talking about is how you get back and buy me all the way back in.
Yeah, get me one of these guys, and then something. Folks, let us know your thoughts about all this in the comments down below. Do you think that Bo Bichette should get traded? Do you think that Ha-Seong Kim should be a Blue Jay or Gleyber Torres? We want to hear all of your thoughts down below.
Guys, $3 a month to become a Patreon member. Shout out, thank you to all of our current Patreon members. You guys are absolutely awesome. And to our YouTube members as well.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And as always,
go Jays, go!